covering? We were covering the second sutra, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Do you remember the very first in the series we understood the natural state of the mind? So that reflects our true nature. But question is why the mind becomes unnatural? The mind becomes unnatural because that mind, which is instinctive, impulsive, habitual, causes the likes and dislikes and projects happiness outside. So once it projects happiness outside, then we have millions and millions of the thoughts. And then we say, what should I do? My mind is crazy. You are crazy, that's why your mind is crazy. Not because mine. So because I lose awareness. We are covering a very subtle but very important topic with reference to this second sutra. Take an example. When I experience pleasure, reality check. We say in our country, reality check. I had a friend in New Jersey. He said, I'm totally in stress and anxiety because of this election. Are you participating in the election? You see, reality check. You see that? So the moment you reality check, that anxiety goes away. So take simple example. When I experience pleasure, say for example in pasta, does pasta contain the pleasure? In money I spent, the pleasure contains there. Now see what happened. Due to the lack of awareness, pasta and the pleasure got mixed up. And that mixture continues to project pleasure and this pasta. Today it is very good. Last time it was fine. You see, the thought pattern has started. Thought pattern has started. That waiter, she was very good or he was very good. Look at these thought pattern because of the mixture, the pasta and the pleasure, because of the election and the pleasure in a particular candidate or pain in another candidate. Look at this is what is happening all the time to my mind. Man and husband got mixed up. Women and wife got mixed up. Man and the boss got mixed up. Why? For likes and dislikes, pleasure and pain. Where it has got mixed up? In my head. I have to get rid of those thought patterns. And then the mind becomes totally empty. It remains empty. The beauty is that once you enter into a deeper state, you will see, oh, we are learning in a particular series, but when I give lessons, you give me a topic, the brain remains totally empty. Once you have given the topic, I start speaking. Sometimes I find that why this brain is totally empty and still the lips are moving and I'm speaking. It's totally an unusual, you can say, a natural state of the mind. Now come back to the sutra. Sutra Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. 4 words. Yoga. Do you understand the first sutra? Yoga is the highest state of mindfulness. That is what we learned. That is according to the commentator. Now, chitta is the mind. Chitta means the mind. So, has mind is instinctive, habitual. So, it attracts the moment it perceives anything, likes and dislikes, and then we start our journey of craziness, laziness, and obsession, reaction, anger, hesitation, etc. Then vritti. So vritti means the thought pattern, behavior, attitude, response all come together as a vritti. How I respond or react to a particular object or a thing. So that creates a thought pattern. In the previous series, we understand what is a thought, a mathematical example, equation. Thought is equal to, do you remember? That is why I say that you have to study, you have to listen to it. Thought is equal to object plus I am. Do I know the essential nature of an object? No. I like pasta, so pasta and the pleasure got mixed up. So I don't see the right perception. I don't have a right perception about the pasta. Do I know I am? No, I don't know I am. They got mixed up. They create a lot of thought pattern, and ultimately we fall. We mind becomes crazy. Mind becomes crazy, lazy, leads to anxiety and stress and reaction and problems. That is why the master say yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Emptying the mind of its content is yoga, which is meditation, which is highest state of the mindfulness. But if we take reference from the previous sutras, so he says that mind lives in five subjective states. Do you remember? It's a very practical. In day-to-day life, you wake up in the morning, your mood is upset, which state it is? You recognize. The moment you recognize, you change it and you are free. That is why it is important to know these five subjective states of the mind. Do you also remember? Out of the five subjective states, only two states helps us to reach to a meditative state. What is meditation? It reveals the knowledge of the reality. It reveals the knowledge of the reality, my true nature. Once that knowledge is revealed, you may be in any circumstances, you may be with 100 people, the mind lives in permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. Do you know about content writer? One of my students, in India, he is posting everything on the Facebook. I hardly visit there in 1 or 2 weeks. Content writer. Mind is a content writer. He writes blog, he writes vlog. Think of this. Mind is a content writer. Can you prevent this mind to write a content? It wants to pass on the opinion on everything that is in front. Hold on. Not required. Mind, keep quiet. Not required. And you see, the, when we create a thought pattern, when we make the mind a content writer, even with the near and dear ones, with the strangers, and the mind is beset with a fear, a sense of anxiety. This guy from the New Jersey, he made the mind a content writer with reference to the politics, and he went into anxiety. His wife was telling me, he is very much stressed. You see, mixed up. Thought pattern. Again, remember, thought is nothing but the object plus I. Object plus I. How I write the content? With likes and dislikes. Likes and dislikes takes you to attachment. Attachment takes you to delusion. And what is delusion? What is delusion? Delusion that appears true but not true. That appears true but not true. Why it appears true? Because the mind has added content into it of the likes and dislikes, pleasure and the pain, and that is why we continue to suffer. We cannot empty the mind, and the knowledge of the reality is not revealed. What we are doing, we are understanding the second sutra. What is that? Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Meaning, emptying the mind of its content is leads us to yoga. Now, what causes? Understand, this is another subtle point that we should understand. There should be something in the mind at a subtler level causing or trigger me to run after an object. I want to remain awfully busy running all the time. Why? To secure pleasure. Master says that is known as Rajoguna. And sometime there should be something that triggers the mind to oppose the very knowledge, oppose the even, what is true. So when my mind, say, for example, opposes, I am a diabetic, for example, and my mind opposes not to take sugar, I take sugar. So the master says it is known as tamo guna. There are three qualities always present in the mind, in the world, in every object. That is how we understand this Eastern wisdom. And the third quality, there should be always a something that causes the knowledge that separates pleasure from the objects. That is known as satoguna. Three qualities. Satoguna aims at knowledge. Mind wants to know first before I use, I possess, I own any object, any person in relationship. So I want to know. I should have a clarity of the knowledge. Satoguna. I oppose that knowledge. Tamoguna. I fall into delusion and I'm chasing that object is known as Rajoguna. Are you getting it? These three gunas means knowledge, activity, inertia. You see that? Knowledge. We wake up in the morning in a waking state. We tend to remain active. In the night, we tend to go to inertia, rest, sleep. And with that knowledge, we start living our life daily. I'm just giving you a glimpse of that three gunas. So the entire world is composed up of these three gunas. What impression I have in my mind, in my current life, my mood is upset. Tamoguna. I hate you. Tamoguna. Can you recognize that? First, the hatred is created in my heart, then only I hate you. So I have to get rid of that tamoguna. These three gunas are always present in the mind at all the time. So what is the goal? Goal is to minimize rajoguna and tamoguna and increase the satoguna. What will happen? Mind will become empty. Then you close your eyes and the mind is already inside and it perceives that sense of emptiness. It separates itself from the body, breath, mind, intellect, ego, and you reach to that state. So it is not the thought pattern. We have to, through the thought pattern, we understand our behavior, our attitude, and then we gain an understanding. By the practice, we minimize these We balance these three gunas. Why I explained you? That is important. Do you remember the five subjective states of the mind? Chipta state. Chipta is constant wandering state. Mind is constantly wandering. Why it is wandering? First, obviously, we can understand objects outside, but deeper inside, my mind has acquired a nature of the Rajoguna. Rajoguna is dominant. Inside, behind. So that Rajoguna does not allow your body to be steady. You are always running. What we get by running? Little pleasure. After that, there is a pain, there is a fear. So there are almost 7 or 8 different qualities that manifest in our behavior, in our attitude. I remember one of my friend in India. I just look at my face. He was always doing like this. So I said, "Are you aware of this?" "No, I'm not aware of this." "You told me." I said, "Go and look back into the mirror at your home." And then he said, "Yes, it is happening. This is not good." Ultimately, we reach to that kind of fidgeting in our attitude and behavior that we don't notice. Sometimes people, because of this, Rajo Guna. So the wandering mind has a lot of pressure on the body, on the metabolism, on the physiological changes, on the biochemical changes of the body. Then we studied the Mudha state. Mudha is dominant by Tamoguna. I should get everything, but I'm not ready to work. Inertia, letharginess. Inertia, letharginess. We also experience the same sometime. And when you are aware, when you follow the 4 steps, you can change your attitude and you can start living into peace and happiness. The third is Chipta, Vikchipta, mood. Vikchipta. So Vikchipta means it is a mixture of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. If someone challenges you, no, I will do it. So you get excited. And when the challenge is gone, you become lethargic. Check that nature. When the mind swings like a pendulum, that is also very dangerous. That will accumulate lot of negative impressions in our mind, and that will make us crazy. So these first 3 states are stumbling block in achieving success in meditation. So the fourth state of the mind lays with perfect Satu Guna plus little Rajoguna to help the mind to move from outside to inside. It is happening inside. It is happening inside. So when there is a clarity of understanding, there is a right knowledge, then what happens? The mind starts moving easily without any resistance and reaction from outside to inside. And that state leads us to meditative state, the fifth state, niruddha, the highest meditation. So when you are able to maintain that state by regular practice, what happens? The knowledge of the reality dawns. Remember, no teacher guides any practice in the Eastern wisdom. Did I explain to you that teacher is a replica of your real self? Why he is a replica? Because he teaches from the teachings of the Eastern wisdom. Who is the last teacher? My teacher and his teacher and his teacher. Who is the last teacher? Do you remember I told you? The last teacher is the real self deep inside the heart. Sorry, I'm your teacher, so I have my teacher, then his teacher. Who is the last teacher? Last teacher is the real self in you. So why you are listening to my gossip? Because that real self in you is representing this teacher. That is why you love. That is why you respect. You see the selfish movement. So my real self was represented by my master. I didn't know. That is the journey. So if that movement takes place in satoguna, in that wisdom, in that knowledge, and then we always succeed in this journey. We'll take up this third sutra with reference to the three gunas next time, also in a deep, little bit more clarification. So let us start our practice. Close your eyes and